When you think of southern Utah, there are several things that probably come to mind. Things like soaring red sandstone cliffs, or huge natural arches, or fantastic rock formations and hoodoos. What probably doesn't come to mind is a place like this. This is the West Desert. You'll find all of that red rock country mostly in southern Utah, but right here, this place is in western Utah, kind of up against the Nevada border. And this is what I think is a vastly underrated and underappreciated part of Utah's natural beauty. This is a place that I've made several videos about before in the past, and it's been a few years, and so I wanted to come back out here and enjoy the beauty and the solitude that comes in a place like this versus the sometimes semi-crowded sections of some of the more beautiful and popular areas of southern Utah. This place, again, feels more like Nevada than it does the southern Utah desert. It's a similar kind of geography and topography. We have these long, skinny mountain ranges that most of us have probably never heard of before, separated by these broad valleys. There's a lot of sand out here, a lot of rock out here, very rugged and remote country. There are no gas stations. You have to bring a lot of extra gas and food and water with you when you come out here. But if you're willing to make the drive, if you're willing to make the trek to come out here, you'll be rewarded with amazing places and not a whole lot of other people. This is for me day one of a several-day trip out here. And I drove out here from my mom's house this morning. My mom lives in the Salt Lake area, and I drove about 3 hours here in the dark, and it's just about sunrise. The sun is just peeking up over those mountains over there. And the first place that we're gonna visit today is just across the valley beyond where I'm parked. We're gonna do some digging over here in what is probably one of the more well-known and popular and more accessible things to see and do in this region. We're gonna hunt for some geodes. This place is called the Dugway Geode beds, and I think there are a couple of different areas where you can dig. This is one spot where obviously a lot of people have been digging. You can see lots of holes, lots of depressions here. I think the way this works is that occasionally the BLM will bring an excavator out here and dig up a new patch of ground, and they'll expose new areas to digging. I don't know how often that happens, but hopefully it's happened at some point in the last 13 or so years, because the last and only other time I was here was about 13 years ago. I came out here with my parents. We spent a few hours digging. I honestly can't remember if it was here or a different spot in this area, but we found a ton of geodes, actually, some pretty good sized geodes too. We spent, I'd say, 3 or 4 hours out here. I'm not going to spend nearly that much time today. I'll spend maybe an hour digging around. I've got some gloves and my trusty Harbor Freight mini shovel. Let's get to work. I'm no great rock hound. This is something that I do very occasionally just for fun. I'm not that seriously into it, and so I've found several of these, pretty small geodes, but even this I'm like super excited about. I don't have great expectations. I don't have delusions of grandeur here that I'm gonna strike it rich or anything. It's just a fun little thing to do. And there's another one. I have heard that this place is no longer very good. Like, I was talking to a guy, I think earlier in the year, about coming here, and I was like, yeah, I've been there before, and we had a lot of luck. And he was like, oh yeah, it was probably really good back then, but it's not very good now. You probably won't be able to find much. So we'll see. You might be wondering, how can you distinguish between a geode and just any other rock? And sometimes I find myself asking the same question, but in general the geodes just appear to be more round. A lot of times they have little kind of nodules on their sides, whereas the The regular rocks are much more jagged and irregular. Okay, here's my haul after about an hour of digging. My back hurts. Note to self, bring a longer shovel next time, but let me show you my haul here. I've now got them sort of organized. These are the biggest ones. These are about the size of my fist or a little bit smaller. Some of these might not actually be geodes, like this one. Is that a geode? I don't know. But nice little round guys. And then a box of about 30 smaller ones. These are golf ball sized or smaller. And then these ones I just wanted to show you. These are some that I came across that were already partially opened. So you can see some of the crystal in here maybe. I don't know if this is focusing. Is this focusing? There we go. I liked this little one. It's kind of a tube with a little hole in the middle. I'm not going to keep these. I'm just going to toss these ones. These other ones I am going to keep. And I'm not just going to take a hammer to them and bust them open. You guys might remember that about a year ago I went geode digging in another video. This was in Southern California. And at the end of that video, I inserted a clip that was me going or having gone to a rock shop and getting the geodes professionally cut open with their fancy saws that they use to cut rocks open. And so I'm going to do that for this video too. So at some point after this trip, I'll go to a rock shop, have these cut open, and I will insert that footage at the end of this video. So like after I get to my campsite at the end of this video, stay tuned, keep watching, and we'll see what's inside these geodes. And I was packing up and getting ready to leave here when I noticed that my gas can is a little bit askew. So let's fix that. But that's what a few hours of driving around on bumpy dirt roads will do, I guess. I do have a flat Rotopax gas can that is easier to strap down, but I kind of hate it. I think I'm going to make a video all about that in the near future here, so stay tuned for that and what I'm going to replace it with. But for now, I have this just regular 5-gallon gas can that I think I bought at a gas station in Arizona earlier this year. It does the job, but it is a little bit more tricky to secure this thing. Okay, well, I have the sneaking suspicion that I'm going to be doing this a few times over the course of the trip. It's on here now, but I don't know if it'll stay solid, but we can adjust if we need to. Let's hit the road. So I'm at a place now called Fish Springs National Wildlife Refuge. There's not much out here as far as visitor amenities go. I'm at the park headquarters, and I mean, I think there's just a bathroom and some buildings for the people who live and work out here. But there is a little kiosk here with information about this place. There are a couple of pamphlets you can get. Basically, I think this is a bird watching place. I think that's why people normally come out here. Apparently there are like 300 species of birds that have been recorded in this area. And so there is also some interesting history associated with this area that I'll get to as we explore this spot. But I'm not going to spend a ton of time here. Again, I'm not really a bird watcher, but I like pretty areas. I like birds, and so let's just go out here, see if we can find some pretty pools of water. And it's called Fish Springs. Apparently at some point there were fish in here. I don't know if there still are, but there are a bunch of individual springs and pools out here that migrating birds and resident birds use. And so let's just go explore, wander around, and see what we can find. We've got what appear to be several hundred ducks. I think these are ducks. Let's take a closer look. Isn't it amazing that there's so much water out here? I mean, these are good-sized pools, good-sized ponds. And that's why this area has been used as a sort of part of a transportation corridor for a while, for hundreds if not thousands of years. Native Americans obviously would have been aware of this place as a water source and used it as such. But then also in the 1800s, this area was used as the Pony Express route. The Pony Express came right through here. The main road out here that I've been driving, that I took to get out to the geode beds, and then again from the geode beds to here, that is part of the Pony Express. And between civilization in the Salt Lake area and here, you pass by a bunch of old markers that show where Pony Express stations would have been. We're gonna go to one, I think one of the better preserved ones after this spot. But again, there were several Pony Express stations in this area because of this water source. And then the first transcontinental, the first cross-country highway came through this area, the Lincoln Highway. Again, same route out here that the Pony Express and the Overland Trail stage route used. Sorry if I'm sounding and looking kind of distracted. I'm at an intersection here. Let's park and walk around. But yeah, the Pony Express, the Overland Trail, the Lincoln Highway, those all came through this area, which again is just so shocking to me because this is so remote. Like even today, this is such an extremely remote area. And I can't even imagine what this place would have been like in the 1800s, in the early 1900s. You know, beyond that, just crazy. Anyway, I've parked the car. Let's go out and see what kind of birds we can find. Okay, we've got one little guy on the hunt, on the prowl, right there. No idea what he is. Looks like he's having a good time. And over this way I heard what sounded like a car coming, but it was actually just this big flock of ducks, or I don't know if you can see that, but there are hundreds and hundreds of birds out there. And the sound I was hearing was them landing, them getting in the water. And so we have this pool over here. We have what looks like a canal or something right here. Big, beautiful, rugged mountains. This is the Fish Springs range, I think. Again, just one of those mountain ranges that you've never heard of. I think it goes up to 8,000 something feet. More pools over in this direction. And beyond. One interesting thing about this place, about this larger area, is that it used to be underwater. So about 14,000 years ago, there was a lake in northern Utah called Lake Bonneville. It covered a lot of northern and western Utah. And that lake eventually disappeared, it evaporated, but part of it still remains in the form of the Great Salt Lake and Utah Lake. Those are remnants of that lake. But there are little pockets of evidence that show that there used to be a lake here. And so behind me, I'll show you this in more detail in a minute, you can see terraces on the mountain. And those are the ancient shoreline of Lake Bonneville. And you can see that a lot in the Salt Lake area too. And then there used to be, I don't know if there still are, but this place is called Fish Springs because there were fish here. And how would fish have gotten here? You know, this is not today connected to any other body of water, but back in the day, again, thousands of years ago, this was all underwater. This all was part of a lake. And so as that lake with the fish in it dried up, there are these little pockets of disconnected bodies of water that have fish in them. There are creeks in some of these mountain ranges around here that just disappear into the desert, but they have native cutthroat trout in them, native fish in them, because they were once all connected to the bigger body of water that of course did have fish in it. Very interesting stuff. So let's drive around a little bit more. Again, I'm not a bird guy, so I'm not going to spend too much time here. But I've driven past here several times on my previous visits to this area. I did want to just stop and see what it was all about, and I think I have an idea. Basically, it's these little ponds, lots of vegetation, birds off in the distance that I can't see very well. But you know, neat place, worth the stop, I guess, if you are already in the area. But before we get back in the car, let me show you some of those terraces. Again, the ancient shoreline of Lake Bonneville. You can see those horizontal lines. And then kind of over here in the other direction, behind me, you can see some of the lines on the mountains over here. Hopefully you can see this. And let's see, over here, that's where the lake used to be. This all used to be underwater. And again, right there. Anyway, let's get back in the car. I mentioned the Pony Express earlier, and this is one of the stations that I wanted to stop at and show you guys. The Pony Express, of course, was the short-lived but famous mail delivery route across the western US. This was in the early 1860s. It went from St. Joseph, Missouri in the east to Sacramento, California in the west. And there were these stations, these little buildings every, I don't know, 5 or 10, 20 miles across the way. And men would ride horses between the stations, and the mail would be delivered from one station to the next, and then the men in that next station with the fresh horses would ride on to the following station once they had some mail to deliver. And this is apparently one of the better preserved stations in Utah. I mean, it's not very well preserved. It's a ruin. It's just some low crumbling walls, but still, this is one of the few that still is in existence. And this one apparently is in better shape than the others because the guy who manned this station, his name was Boyd, that's why this is called Boyd Station. He lived here well beyond the end of the Pony Express. So the Pony Express ended in, well, just a year and a half or so after it started. I think it ended because of the first transcontinental telegraph line, and so once that happened, there was no need for the Pony Express and for the slow mail route. And so apparently this guy Boyd stayed here until the 1900s, into the 1900s, and yeah, let's take a closer look. Again, not a whole lot here, but one interesting little tidbit that I read said that there were holes in the wall to aim a gun out of, kind of like, you know, those castles in Europe that had the slots in the walls to fire an arrow out of. Same kind of thing here, but to prevent against Indian attacks. This must have been a lonely outpost. I think I would have enjoyed that. I think I would have enjoyed being stationed here. Off in the distance here we have one of the higher mountain ranges in Utah. This is the Deep Creek Range, or these are the Deep Creek Mountains. They go up to, I think, about 12,000 feet. I climbed the highest point in that range years and years and years ago. It's about lunchtime. I'm feeling a little bit peckish. So let's see what we have here in the fridge. I brought a lot of fruit on this trip. I've got a big thing of blueberries. I've got pineapple, or not pineapple, watermelon. I do have pineapple, but this is watermelon. I've got some raspberries in there too. I think this will hold me over until dinner. But man, I love this place. It feels good to be back. I haven't seen a single other car driving out here today. It's about 1 o'clock. No one. Didn't see anyone at the geode beds. No one on the road out here. This is my kind of place. And then we're gonna hit the road again. The next spot I wanted to stop at is a mountain about 3 or 4 miles south of here. So I'll meet back up with you guys over there. When I'm planning my trips, I like to look at the USGS topographical maps for the areas that I'll be. Those maps are much more detailed, have much more information than your standard Google map or Apple map. And so while I was looking at this area, I saw this mountain, and it was called Window Peak. And I thought, huh, usually if something has a name like that, there's a reason for it, obviously. And so I thought maybe there's like a natural arch up there or a hole in the mountain of some sort. I couldn't find any information about this mountain online, but I thought it's worth checking out. I'll be in the area, I might as well stop to take a look. Sure enough, let's zoom in and let me show you what we have here. That, my friends, is a little natural arch way up on top of the mountain. Let's go get a closer look. I've been up on top here for, I don't know, 20 minutes, just taking it all in and observing and absorbing, and I could stay up here for hours and just look out. I mean, I think one thing, if you've never been to a place like this, one thing that really strikes you is just how still it is. When you're in a forest, there are trees moving. You're in the mountains, there's water moving water, there's streams and rivers. There are lots of animals running around. You'll see squirrels and chipmunks and birds. Out here, there's none of that. It is just, it's just nature frozen in time. That's what it feels like to be here. And I know that there are people out there watching this thinking, what a horrible, ugly landscape, because I do get comments like that. If it's not green, you don't like it, and that's fine. You know, I like green places. I like the mountains, I like forests, I like the Pacific Northwest, you know. But there is such a real beauty to me in places like this. I can't get enough of places like this. There's just so much to look at. I mean, the views just go forever. I love it. And it's not even nature itself that's standing still, it's the world itself that is standing still out here. Everything has stopped. Nothing is happening in the world, as far as my world is concerned, that I can see and interact with out here. Everything has stopped, and that is just a remarkable feeling. I wanted to point out a few things from up here. You can see the car right in the middle down there. Took, I don't know, maybe half an hour to get up here. It wasn't too bad. This mountain range, this is the Fish Springs range. Fish Springs and the National Wildlife Refuge is over here. And then the mountain range that I'm in right now, this kind of right here, is the Confusion range. Great name. Got other mountain ranges down here. I think this is the House range. And then this, once again, is the Deep Creek range on the horizon. These higher peaks over here, again, 12,000 feet. And then I mentioned Lake Bonneville and those kind of horizontal terraces on the mountains. You can see that again right here. That horizontal line. And so I guess at some point these would have been islands. I mean, all these mountain ranges would have been islands in Lake Bonneville. 12 or 14,000 years ago, however long ago that was. And looking to the north, you can again see the line on the mountain right here. Now let's see if I can get back off this thing without it crumbling. It's pretty bad rock. So you've got to be really careful. Got to make sure you have multiple points of contact on the rock here in case a handhold breaks off. You're not gonna, you know, ping off backwards or anything. Okay. Also, this isn't the top of this mountain. I think the actual top of the mountain is like over here. So I need to go tag the summit really quick. But I also wanted to mention that I think I called this Window Peak or Window Mountain. It's actually called Window Rock. Just wanted to correct myself there. And as always, I'll put the GPS coordinates in the video description if you want to check out some of this stuff for yourself. Okay, terra firma. So yeah, let me go hike up that thing. And once I've done that, I'm going to hike back down to the car. And I have a little bit of driving to do. I'm gonna drive on some of the dirt roads further in this direction, further to the south, and go find a campsite. So I'll see you guys on the road somewhere over there, or at camp, or I don't know, whatever I feel like doing. For now, I'm just gonna wander around, explore. I've been looking at these rocks. So as I was hiking up the mountain, I looked at these rocks because like these are perfect for Native American rock art. They have this nice dark patina on them. So I've been inspecting all the rocks on my way up down there, but I didn't find any rock art. But I'm gonna keep my eyes peeled, do some adventuring around here, and then I'll see you guys somewhere down the line. Okay, it's literally about 1 minute later. This is the actual top of the mountain right here. The arch or Window Rock is only about 100 feet over this way. The view from here is exactly the same as the view from the arch, but I just had to make it official, had to move this one officially into the done column. And it feels good. My goodness, this campsite is unreal. Amazing views in every direction. I'm perched right on the edge of a cliff here. This is insane. And I got here just in time too. The sun is right about to set. I have maybe another 15 or 20 minutes actually. Just mountain range, upon mountain range, upon mountain range. I love it. A year or two back, I made a video and called it "This Place is Free Campsite Heaven," because it was a dirt road that followed a river for 60-something miles, and there are campsites all along that river. But that kind of pales in comparison to this place. I mean, all day today, everything that I've seen and done, it's all BLM land, it's all free camping everywhere out here. This West Desert area of western Utah is bigger than, it's gotta be bigger than several states. It's just gigantic, and you can camp anywhere out here. That phrase, free campsite heaven, has been ringing around in my head all day, and I really think that applies to this place, and to this particular campsite especially. This particular campsite is free campsite heaven. I have a little bit less than half a tank of gas. I think I'll be okay for tomorrow for the things that I want to see and do tomorrow. But I am gonna put the gas can, or put the gas that's in the gas can in the car. I really just hate dealing with gas cans. They're kind of a necessary evil. Let's see if I can figure out how this one works. Each one works a little bit different, and they all are just terrible. I think the nearest gas station is about 60 miles away. I might head there tomorrow, we'll see. Okay, that time it came out too fast. I'm spilling a little bit. Oh gosh. Maybe a siphon is the better way to do this. Leave the gas can on the ground and just use a siphon to put it in the tank. Okay, well, I'll spare you guys the footage of me trying to get out the last inch or so of gas in here. Let's see what we have for dinner. Actually, before we do dinner, I realized I had this with me. This is a gas funnel sort of thing. I thought it was in the RAV4, that's why I didn't think about it at first, but I guess I put it in the Land Cruiser at some point. This will help. I hope. Oh, so much easier. Oh my gosh. And I'm able to get every last drop out of here. I'll put a link to this thing down below. I got it off of Amazon. It's not expensive, but I think every car should have it. If you carry a gas can ever, you should have one of these, because I remember, I think it was with the Yukon, you know, the GMC Yukon that I used to have. On one trip, whatever gas can I was carrying, the nozzle wouldn't fit, or wouldn't make it all the way down to depress the little flap of the gas tank. And so I couldn't use that gas, and so right after that trip, I bought this thing, and man, what a little lifesaver. That is awesome. All right, now let me show you what I've got for dinner. Actually, really quick before we get into that, let me interject from the future here. I have the cut up geodes. It costs just a few dollars to get these cut up at the rock shop. I like this one here. You can see the crystals in both halves. And again, these aren't huge, you know, these are golf ball sized, but they are very pretty. And it is amazing to me that you can just go out, dig around in the earth, and find something like this. That is so cool. I like this one over here, this elongated one. Pretty colors. Neat minerals inside. I think we got a pretty good haul here. So these are the ones that had a decent cavity of some sort in them. This is the biggest one, but it has a pretty small cavity. And then this is the pile of just regular old rocks. Well, still geodes, but they didn't have notable cavities of any kind. Anyway, that's the haul. Let's get back to the end of the video. It's nothing fancy. We don't get fancy on this channel when it comes to food. But this is a, let's see, a ham and Swiss sandwich that I got from the grocery store yesterday. It's just been in my fridge all day. Looks pretty good. So there's the sandwich. And then I've got blood orange ginger beer. Never heard of this before, never seen it before. It's by a brand called Fever Tree. It's with like the drink mixing stuff in the grocery store. And this is, you know, this is just a soft drink. This is non-alcoholic. But yeah, we'll see if it's any good. Let's bust it open. And I wanted to reiterate also just how empty it is out here. Didn't see anyone all day. I saw one guy, I think he was like working on grading one of the dirt roads. Saw him sitting in his truck at an intersection at one point, but no one else out here like adventuring, doing what I'm doing. It's just been incredible and incredibly empty. All right, blood orange ginger beer. It just tastes like ginger beer. I don't really taste any blood orange. It's fine. All right, guys, I think we're gonna wrap it up here. I'm gonna enjoy the last few minutes of daylight here before the sun sets, and then I'll hop inside the car for the night, enjoy some downtime. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think. Let me know what your favorite part was. Let me know what your experiences have been like in this part of Utah, in the West Desert. I have a few more West Desert videos coming, so stay tuned. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next one. Be sure to check out Adventure Know-How, my new site, where you can gain access to a map of all of my free campsites, plus monthly bonus videos that you won't find anywhere else. Learn more at adventureknowhow.com. And for links to everything else SUV RVing related, visit suvrving.com. Links to these sites and more will be in the video description.